What is up, homies? Welcome back to another episode of the CzechXicans here on Heroes Reforged. It is the 6th episode of this podcast.
Silly goose time.
Silly goose time.
It's not even a
baby.
podcast.
I know, it's just a silly goose time. For everybody who's listening, thank you so much for tuning in. I feel like sometimes because we are doing this in video format, we sometimes tend to forget about the audience who's listening. But don't worry, we see you, we hear you. If you're enjoying the podcast, make sure you guys leave a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast, please. It helps the show. And if you've never seen the video version, check it out on YouTube. We have a silly goose time. We've got some good drinkies. We got some good drinkies here. We're having a good time. We're ready to just chit chat, answer some fun questions from the audience. Maybe talk about some of the recent movies we've seen. And just hang.
But before we get into any of this stuff, guys, I just want to announce that I'm aging out of my 30s.
All right. Congratulations. Congratulations.
I'm having a bit of a panic attack. It's weird to be the old guy in the group. Now I'm officially like the old guy in the group.
Bro, you're like 2 years older than us.
I'm 38.
I'm 35 in a couple months.
You don't know what that's like, though, bro. You don't know.
I'm about to hit my mid-30s.
Why do I feel 40?
You don't feel 40.
Someone
Yes,
get me
I
a
do,
convertible.
Yes, I do. I recently spent time with my 60-year-old father, and I was like, I relate to you now more than ever before. and he was, nope.
Nope.
This is scary.
That is
That's
pretty
scary, but also, no, that one.
That's the one. Right.
We figured it out.
But, I mean, you look fantastic for your age, man.
You know what?
You got a great head of hair.
I appreciate it.
That Bosley's working. You're looking fantastic.
I'm using the geology
Looking
every
real
night.
crispy.
I can't see it, but I know the Manscaped
The Manscaped is working.
But I can't
working.
see it. I can smell it.
You can smell it. There's no more musk. It's just weird. I remember as a kid, I would wonder what I would be like at 30 years old.
Wow.
And at 40 years old, I'd be like, what would I look? Because I was the chubby kid in school, and so I was always unhappy with myself, and I was like, I just want to be an adult. No, I should have not done that.
Yeah, you're right. It's better to be a chubby 9-year-old than basically anything else. Any other age.
In the 90s, too. I feel like the 90s was a very unique time to kind of grow up.
Every week they came out with a new candy. Every week
yes,
a new commercial.
Why do you think I was so chubby as a kid?
No, man.
There was a new candy. But question goes to you guys.
Yeah.
Did you ever imagine yourself at this age? And did you imagine your life this way? I can't imagine that you did because the world's so different from how it was back then. But
No one told you life was gonna be this way.
Right. Pandemics, world wars, and all that, all that craziness. But aside from all that craziness,
I remember when I was a kid, I was like, okay, if time travel is going to exist and I'll have access to it as an
I'm going to go back to watch T2 in theaters.
I'm going to come back and visit myself now. Now. I just have to remember. Now it's this date. I didn't remember any of the dates.
You mean you would try to will your future self to visit you at a specific point in your past?
And I hadn't even seen Bill and Ted at that age, but I still came up with that premise of if time travel exists in the future, I'll come back and visit my younger self. Now that's the premise for the new Ryan Reynolds movie.
The Adam Project? I'm so excited to watch that.
Directed by
Sean Levy,
who did Real Steel and Free Guy and the Night at the Museum movies and episodes of Stranger Things.
Yes.
So I'm curious about that because it's Ryan Reynolds teaming up with kid version of himself.
Yeah. And his parents are Jennifer Garner and Mark Ruffalo.
13 going on 30.
That's right.
To answer your question, though, Augustine, I feel like I could not wrap my brain around what I would be like or look like, but I think my frame of reference was like, oh, I'll be in really good shape because I'll be like a superhero. I'll look like this because it'll be like a comic book character or like a cartoon character or something. So that was my frame of reference. I did not end up looking like that, but there's still time.
There's still time. There is still very much time. Did you realize you would end up looking like Oscar Isaac, though?
No. I think, I don't know. I don't know if sometimes I go back and forth between who would I look more like, my mom or my dad. And I feel like it's easier for me to be like, I think I look like my dad because the people that have told me I look more like my mom are like other people. are like, because when I look in the mirror, sometimes I'm like, I can see my dad. When I'm walking around the house and I say something, I'll be like, Dad? Like, it feels like, don't you hate that?
Don't.
Yes, dude.
You don't.
Yes,
I gotta
Give me an
shit.
example. Give me an example.
I'll give you an example is, this is going to make my dad look great, is if I'm like at my kitchen table or whatever, my laptop, and I get an email or something, or if like I see bad news or something, or maybe if I stub my toe, I'll go, God damn it, and I'll go, that's my dad says that like that.
Oh, I see.
Do you know what I mean? These little, the little like it's the
nuances.
But it's like the unplanned sort of like involuntary noises.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I'll get up in the morning and I'm like, like those kinds of. The involuntary noises, and I go
from junior to senior in one
just
day.
getting old, though.
I know.
I think that's just.
But that oldness, the sounds, remind me of my dad when he was my age.
Yeah.
Because my dad had me when he was like 26.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I'm now the age that he was when I was
You're
like
not 26.
10. When I, no, I'm not 26. but when I was 10, he was 36.
Yeah.
And now I'm like around there.
So those are like your vivid memories.
Now
around
I
that time.
I can almost have memories of myself when I was 10 and where I was in my life, and how old my dad was is now how old I am.
Right.
So it's all kind of like, but it's just those sort of like sounds that are the involuntary things that flash you back.
Yeah.
You know. So and the same thing would happen if my mom were to visit or something, and then like she were to make a tortilla, I smell it and I'm like, oh, this is like when you made tortillas when I was 5 or something. You know what I mean? It just sucks you back. So
Did your mom ever do the Mexican chokehold on you? And you don't know. I don't know if you know about this.
No, I don't.
I request elaboration.
And
So does the,
I hope
so do all the viewers.
I hope every other Mexican knows what I'm talking about with this that's watching this show. The Mexican chokehold is when your mom would make some kind of a salsa or a chile in the house, smoke the whole house out like it was bear mace, dude. Just everybody in the house is dying, can't breathe,
God.
choking to death. You have to run out of the house because you cannot breathe inside the house, and that's a Mexican chokehold.
Wow.
Did your mom ever do that?
I don't think she did.
Okay.
I don't think she played with the spices like that, but that's hilarious.
Because my mom smoked us out.
That's so funny.
all
That's
the time.
hilarious, yeah.
It was crazy.
Adam, what did you think you were going to be like as an adult when you were a kid?
Great question. I was one of those people who had those unrealistic expectations that like by 24 I'd have a girlfriend who I'd hopefully be engaged with. By 30 I'd have my first kid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Those. Yeah. Totally.
Now we're just
dreams are
three big
dead.
dorks.
Yeah.
Those dreams are dead.
Yeah, they're totally dead. And I think I think I like had like that come to Jesus moment working visual effects, working all those hours and realizing I'm either going to be alone for the rest of my life or I'm going to have a really hard time finding someone who's going to jive with this schedule. And granted, we're not in the visual effects industry anymore, but this still is kind of a crazy schedule.
I mean, yes.
But it's getting better.
Yes,
it's getting
it is.
better.
Yeah.
But so what were the kid Adam's aspirations though? Like, did you think you were going to be like an astronaut or
At one point, I feel like
hockey player?
Yeah, I went through phases where I definitely wanted to play hockey.
Yeah.
I think from the age of, I want to say like 9, I was pretty dead set on being a filmmaker.
Cool.
But somewhere in between that, I was also like, either I want to make movies or I want to be a visual effects artist or I want to in some way like work on film. I also kicked around the idea of being an optometrist for a while because my vision is so terrible.
Yeah.
But then I realized like the schooling and all that, and I was like, I don't know if
a lot of effort.
I just don't know if I have like the patience for that.
Dude, eyes are gross too. Eyeballs are gross.
Yeah, and I think my biggest thing was I was super impatient in school because I never felt like I had any classes that I was into.
And
like, it's not that everyone is into every class, but I was always surprised when people were like, I love English, I love history, I love math.
I never understood any of
man,
that.
I love fucking PE.
I loved art.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a cool thing to
The
love
art
in
classes
school.
are the things that I really connected with, and I think those were the things that I was the most expert at.
Yeah.
I was really good at like painting and drawing, and I haven't done it in years, but I would like to get back into it.
Yeah.
Then I had like classes where I can make videos and stuff, and I was always exceptional at that.
I only loved when like in English class we would read a book, that then they would show the movie at the end of us reading
Oh,
the book.
yeah.
I'd be like, I love this.
Right.
Let's watch the movie.
Sure.
That's
Teach
the
me
only
more
way
about
I
the
would
movie.
read a book is if there was a movie about it.
I did have an English teacher, Mr. Larson, who was really cool. And the only reason I was so into his class was because he loved comic books and he loved Superman.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So
Hell yeah.
I would go to his class, and then, right before class would end, we would all line up by the door.
Yeah.
And we talk about, like, whatever movie was out or whatever show was out, like Smallville at the time.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, oh, I just read this comic. It was, at the time, it was new, and you should really check it out. It's really good. Da, 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 da. So for that, I really enjoyed it. But other than that, I had a really tough time. So I was always like, anything that required extensive years of schooling, I was kind of put off by it.
Yeah.
At one point, I did consider.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, well, at one point I did consider trying to get into USC or UCLA, and then Vancouver Film School. And then when I called Vancouver Film School, they were like, "Well, what do you do now?" And I'm like, "Oh, I explained to them I'm in visual effects and da da da." They're like, "You don't need us. You're already doing what you should be doing." And I'm like, "Okay."
Interesting.
It was
Yeah.
weird to have like a school kind of be like, "Nah."
You're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
You're
because
kinda
normally they're
good.
like, "You want to give us money?" We'll
Yeah,
give you."
yeah.
Well, that was our experience. They took our money.
Come, yeah.
Yeah.
Still paying for it.
Yeah.
No, but that's actually great because there's not if there's a school willing to tell you that's how you know it's a good school. That they're just like, you know what, you're good. No, you don't need this. Like, there's other people who need this more than you do.
Yeah, it's
you're on the right track.
I don't know how you're saying what school it is, but
It's okay. You don't have to.
Yeah. It was at the time when I remember making that call. It was at the time when a specific movie came out that was very well received, and it was all done very like guerrilla style kind of. And the filmmaker ended up going on and making a bunch of movies, but it was because of that I was like, oh, maybe this school is kind of more for me, because it had like a year-long program, and it was visual effects, producing, directing. It was kind of like everything rolled into one.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it was either you could go, you can go the more technical route and learn cinematography and directing and all that, and then there was something that was more creative that I think was like writing based. It was kind of broken up. I forget exactly how, but it's actually crazy you bring that up about your dad. Those experiences, because my mom also had me when she was younger, and whenever I'm like either hanging out with people or for whatever reason, when I'm in San Diego visiting family, I start thinking about that, and I start to think like, damn, when my mom was my age, my brother was 4, she had 2 kids, she was basically raising us on her own, she had a full-time job, she was still like trying to have as much free time as she could, or like time to herself.
Crazy, man.
But like we would travel, we'd go on trips. I'm like, man, it just made me like super, super impressed.
Yeah.
And so thankful for like how much effort she put into
Right.
making sure that we had such a normal, like as normal of a life as we possibly could
It's a
have.
superhuman feat.
Yeah, when she's like literally, I mean, of course I did have my grandparents that were always within like a 5-mile radius of where we lived. But even so, to have to wake up 2 kids and send one to school and take one to daycare and feed and cook and
then
clean
go to work and then
it's just like, Jesus, that's like a monumental. And back then, when your mom's 34, 35, you're like, oh, old lady, like, whatever, she'll figure it out. But now I'm 34 and I'm like,
I don't know what I'm
shit,
doing.
man, I'm not doing anything near what my mom is doing.
I know.
It's
Can you imagine
it's really weird.
us trying to do the shit we're doing right now, but also like we all had kids?
Bro.
No. I would die.
But see, I think here's
But
the
I
thing.
know you really want children. I know both of you guys
kid
really
would
want
die.
children.
My kid, I would. I
But
couldn't feed it.
would not be
I feel like, and I've had this conversation with my mom, and we've talked about it like a little bit. When you are in that situation and you choose to have kids, or you have kids, or whatever, you just make it work. You figure it out.
Yeah, I
Totally.
think so.
And you just, because I mean,
Shout out to good parents.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Shout out to good parents.
Hell yeah.
Good parents. You know who you are. Good parents.
But yeah, it is very interesting. And I mean,
Yeah.
we started this, I was 27 when we started this. So I felt like, oh, I have so much time. And I still do. Like 34 is still young. But then I think about how quickly those like 8 years have flown by.
Yeah.
And I'm
Too
just
fast.
like, oh my God. Like I did, before we started, Heroes Reforged, I did have that thought of like, is it time to put that to bed?
Yeah,
and move
I
on
had that thought several
and,
times.
and do something else and just like
Yeah.
not do this. And it wasn't that I didn't want to do it anymore. I think that there was a part of me that was worried that if I keep doing it, I'm going to put aside a lot of other things that I do want to do. And there still are a lot of those things that I do want to do. But I feel like because we have kind of full control of everything that we've been doing, and we kind of dictate exactly what we want to be doing, I feel a little more creatively free.
Yeah.
To try stuff.
But not only that, you guys are my homies.
I know.
And like,
I
it
know.
would feel weird not to do this because as much as like, I see other channels and there's people working together and stuff, and I'm like, that's cool. But I can't tell if they're friends like we are. You know, like, I'm like, are these people friends? Because these guys are like my friends.
Right.
Like, these guys are, you know, like, even if we weren't doing this, we would still be hanging out. We would still be doing stuff.
And I think a lot of people bring that up, and they always say, I feel like I'm watching Three Friends. I'm like, well, we do have the advantage that we have known each other for 10 years at this
for
point.
a long time.
I'm really glad I answered that Craigslist ad.
Me too.
That was him. That was him.
That was him. That was him.
That was him. That was him.
Wait, you also did?
I'm talking. No, you actually did answer.
Oh.
I'm making a joke.
Oh.
I know you are.
I answered the Craigslist ad to be y'all's friend.
Oh, we did have that for a while.
That one of you guys.
Yeah.
Made an ad for friends.
Kind of. I mean, you made your own ad because you weren't hanging out with us for a while. When we were first at that first company.
Yeah.
You were our supervisor,
I was your
and
boss,
you weren't hanging out with us because we were the new guys.
Yeah.
But so you were doing your own thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to hang out with Hector more, and I need to find a way to do it.
There were 2 times where we hung out, and the first time was you had a house party. At your house. It was for Halloween. I remember that.
Hell yeah.
I met you, but kind of in passing. We didn't really get a chance to talk. Then the second time was we had a bonfire, and that's when I really got talking. And like you and I were already talking for a while.
That's awesome.
People thought we were cousins.
Good times, man.
Yeah, and then we all came up to LA, and then it was like months later that you and I were like, we wouldn't shut up about all these movies, and like he was like, you got to talk to Hector.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It happened.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for making me feel even older. 38. Cheers to 38 and everybody's birthdays.
Bing, bang, boom.
38 birthdays.
Let's talk about comic book shit.
I actually did want to ask, and this doesn't have to be a lengthy response, but is there any like that feels good. Water tastes
I'll
good.
make it as lengthy as I want
Oh,
it to, baby.
Rub away,
we
Hector.
sit
Rub
for
away.
this podcast. Do you guys have any short-term or long-term goals that you really want to focus on for the next few years or decade?
So that's always very tricky for me because I was raised in an environment where everybody was like, you know, keep working for your goals and doing, and that's really great. Everybody should have goals. But I feel like at this point in my life, I'm just like, you know what? I'm just happy existing at this point where I'm just like, I have a steady job, which is great. Like I have you guys and this on the side, which is awesome.
Wife.
I have a wife. I have 2 dogs. I'm doing all the stuff that I kind of want to be doing. And like existing right now is just great. Like just being in the moment, I think is just really cool. Now, do I want to do things in the future? Yeah. But is it difficult for me to like, because I've never planned my life to be this way and it's turning out good, then I'm just like, well, if I just keep doing what I'm doing, what's it going to look like in a couple years? You know, like I follow the things that I like to do.
I think I'm on a similar wavelength to you.
Yeah.
Is we're just kind of riding the wave
Absolutely.
at this point.
I've been
But
riding the wave my whole life, baby.
the thing I find that I get excited about, especially like career-wise or opportunity-wise, is stuff that kind of pops up when it pops up, and I'm trying not to think too much about it, maybe I should be thinking more about it, but I think I tend to be the type of person that's like, hey, I'm kind of happy the way everything is going now. I don't want to maybe necessarily get my hopes up and something doesn't work out, I don't want to put a bunch of time and effort into something if it's not maybe kind of a sure thing. And I think what I tend to get excited about is like with us, like as soon as we started pivoting to doing this shit from home, it was like, oh, cool, then we could do this and this and this. And then as soon as we, even this year, like started doing X-Men, we've been talking about, okay, cool, what's our next goal going to be? So I'm excited about that stuff, but it's almost like I get excited as soon as I know something's kind of coming down the conveyor belt. You know, and then I'm like, okay, now what's next? But I'm not necessarily looking at other conveyors and going, what can I do over there? What's going on over here? But I'm kind of like, yeah, okay, cool.
Your conveyor's giving it up.
A little bit, if it is. And if it's a little dry, I'm like, okay, I'll read a comic book. All right.
That's coming down.
Like, I'll do research or I'll, find like hobbies and things to kind of keep me engaged and happy that aren't necessarily like career oriented or anything. So, but I think it is good to have some I think it's good to have those kinds of dreams.
Absolutely,
even
yeah.
if they feel kind of like impossible.
Yeah.
Because you never know, dude.
Yeah, for
and
real.
if you have those dreams and you have somewhat of an idea or even a plan, maybe when an opportunity presents itself that's somewhat similar, you can be like, yes, because I've thought about it. Yes, because I prepared for it. I'm actually kind of ready for this stepping stone, and then maybe I could get there.
I mean, that's how my whole life has been. The job I have now, I never thought I would have the job I have now, but I got a lucky break. I got a good opportunity, and I'm trying to take advantage of it to as much as I can. Which is allowing me to do everything else in my life. Like,
I think the three of us are like that, though. I think, honestly,
think so.
I think that when we're presented with opportunities, I think we tend to go for it with whatever it may be. And so, what about you, Adam? Do you have anything that you're trying to do short term?
Guys, before we continue on with the podcast, we have to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, Manscaped. They are back again. Did you guys know 1 man every hour, every day is diagnosed with testicular cancer?
Wow.
This month, April, is National Testicular Cancer Awareness Month, and Manscaped wanted us and everybody else to be just more aware about what that means and what you should be doing.
Yeah.
So we want to take a second and talk about this, talk about men's health issues and why they're important to us. And as the resident old guy,
I recently had to go get my testicles checked.
Yeah.
I actually had a little bit of a scare. I had a little bit of a pain. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the doctor. I'm going to go get this checked out, and it cleared. Clear as a bell. But it's important to go to the doctor when you feel stuff like that. You can't just say, oh, it'll go away. Oh, it'll go. What if it doesn't go away?
Yeah.
What if you can stop it before it even gets to that point?
Exactly.
Go get your balls checked, bro.
Absolutely.
And ladies, if your husband's whatever, if he's telling you something, tell him to go get his balls checked.
Absolutely.
If the urge to release is giving him a hurting, go get a check-in.
Squeeze those little grapes. Listen, if you have followed our channel for any number of time, you know that we are big fans of Manscaped. They're fantastic. We are especially fans of the Lawnmower 4.0, which we have all of us used. I know personally for a fact.
Yes.
It's really great. In addition,
we all check in with each other.
That's right.
In addition to providing the right tools for safe and easy manscaping, Manscaped has partnered with the Testicular Cancer Society to spread awareness for men's health and early cancer detection. Together, TCS and Manscaped are committed to raising awareness for the most common form of cancer in men age 15 to 35.
That is literally us.
Let me repeat that age range again, because again, I feel like there is a stigma. There's this notion of like, oh, once you get older, once you start getting discounts at Denny's breakfast, you need to no age
Start
15
young.
to
Now.
35, the most common form of cancer in men that age. So, you know, they're giving support for fighters, survivors, and families impacted by testicular cancer. So, like Augustine said, go get yourself checked out. I think it's awesome, and guys should be able to talk about that.
Absolutely.
Because it's really important.
And the cool thing about Manscaped is that while you're down there using the products, you can do quick little checks on yourself. And it's really easy to do while you're trimming it up. Do it up. My favorite is to use the ball deodorizer. Yes, because I can sometimes suffer from swamp nuts. And while I'm suffering from swamp nuts, I could save my life.
When you've been walking through a theme park for 12 hours too long, sometimes it gets a little musty down there.
Sometimes it gets musty.
And you need to go in and just...
musty. Yes.
Visit manscaped.com/TCS to learn how to check yourself for early signs of cancer, or share their funny educational check yourself video to help save lives and balls. As always, you can use the code HEROESREFORGED for 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. Join the Manscaped movement, and don't forget to take care of your pair. When it comes to like long-term, short-term stuff, it kind of really depends. And I've had a lot of time to start thinking about it a lot more now because we've had amazing editors helping us cut down a lot of our videos. Thank you so much. It's been hugely helpful, and it's allowed me the time to kind of sit and think about like, what are the projects that I want to work on? What are the things that I want to do? Do I want to still continue pursuing film? If I do, what do I want that to be? And I've kicked around so many things of like, producing, directing, maybe going back into visual effects, but working on the production side of it and not working on the creative, on the artistic side of it. So I've been like mulling that stuff over and even considering like maybe I don't even want to work in the film industry anymore and I want to go do something else that is completely disconnected from it. And then still do like, I wish, then still do this, as a side thing with you guys. But it's tough. And I think a lot of it has also come from, when the pandemic first happened,
The panini.
the panini, I felt like I was in a position where I could have really taken advantage of, being able to do a lot of creative things, but I was in a situation where I couldn't do that. Like it was,
None of us were.
Yeah.
like it was completely impossible.
Yeah.
Even though I wanted to so desperately,
Right.
and as much as I like wanted whatever I was working on at the time to be a part of that, there really wasn't any interest in that. So I just felt kind of creatively stuck. So now with like things kind of like easing up and us, having help, now I'm thinking about like, okay, I've talked about at length about wanting to do a pilot for a show, or I've been wanting to like do some short films. I'm like, now it's kind of the opportunity to really sit down and think about, what do I want these things to look like? What do I want these things to be? If I really want to do a horror short, what is it going to look like? Where's the budget's going to come from? And really spend some time thinking that stuff through, because, I feel like sometimes when we have insight into how movies are made, it seems easy, and it can be if you have the right people helping you, but it is a very lengthy, grueling process. And just to get someone to get on board whatever you want to do and to like believe in the project, let alone fund it, like that is a feat all in and of itself. So I think those are a lot of the things that I really want to be doing. But even like personally, like, maybe getting married, earning a good enough income to be able to either buy a house or buy a condo, or
Ladies, single.
Tell him. You look into the camera and say that. Adam, look at the camera.
Single and
You look at
very
that.
ready to make
Look
it.
at that. You say, I want to get married. Look at that. Look into the camera.
You should do kissy face and then do the
yeah.
from Nacho.
I love you. I definitely think about that a lot.
Future you, check your DMs, because that just happened.
Exactly.
That just happened.
Check it out.
That just happened.
We just helped you.
CZECH.
There
check
is
it out.
a model in your DMs right now.
model from Europe.
Svetlana.
Yeah.
But it's true though. I do think about that. I do think about that quite a bit, because you get older, and I don't know, you just start to like think about other people that that are older and them being single, and even though sometimes it's their choice, sometimes they're like, I don't want to deal with the dating thing or whatever. But those are definitely things that I think about, of like, I would like to have someone to go do fun things with, travel, go explore, and go discover new stuff.
Maybe until the lady comes. That's what we're for.
Yeah, I know. So when are we going to Europe again? I so badly want to go back.
Look, man,
Yeah.
that Prague trip was one of the best trips I've ever
it was
had.
really fun.
And so I know Cynthia's willing to do it again.
Yeah.
How does Abby feel? Did she like the trip?
I'll have to talk to her about it. No, of course she did. Of course she did.
She hates us.
We talk about that all the time,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was really fun. But yeah, I mean, those are the types of things, because now when you're single, you either are hanging out with other single people, or if you're lucky enough, you have people who are in relationships or are married, and you can either like third wheel and nobody has a problem with it. Everyone's cool with it, because I don't have a problem with it. Or you have people, whose significant others are cool with them, like going off and hanging out and doing stuff. And, like Matt's a perfect, I mean, you guys too, but, Matt is also another perfect example of someone like his wife is totally fine with him. Like us going to the movies and going to lunch and stuff. So yeah, but sometimes I definitely, it sounds kind of pathetic, but I definitely have my days where I feel like lonely. And even though I know you guys are like, a call away or a text away, I'm still like, well, they have their own lives. I don't want to like bother them.
Oh man, hey, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you not bugging me.
Don't call me.
problem,
I'm
dude.
so busy.
No problem,
bro.
dude.
It's tough, man.
Fucking stay in your room, bro.
Thank you, man. Thank you. That's
Sipping my French press all alone.
so thoughtful. Thank you.
Anyway,
Luckily, our schedule is so packed that like, at least we see you all the time.
no,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, we do, man. We hang out a lot.
Anyways, you guys didn't make me feel better about turning 38. Let's jump on these questions,
Let's
and
do
maybe
it.
maybe our
They'll make you
patrons will make me feel better.
They'll make
Who
you feel
knows?
better. Yeah, maybe
Maybe
they'll
this
make you
question
feel
will make
better.
you feel better, but
Okay.
it might make Hector feel worse.
What is it?
From James
Go.
Clarks. Hector, how goes the adventure into cooking? Have you had time? Eaten anything interesting recently?
This is from who? James?
James Parks.
Here's what I appreciate about this. Part of the question is, have you had time? And I'm going to lie and say no. I've been so busy.
Even though he just said, I'm not that busy.
I'm going to lie and say, oh, I'm so busy. But if I were to be honest, yeah, I've had some time. I just have not committed to any of it. I have not done any of it. Because anytime I think to myself, cool, I'm going to go into the kitchen and like try something, it is just very daunting to me. and I feel like I need to have a few hours blocked off. And that might sound silly to you guys, but it's like, but you know what you're doing. You know what I mean?
But we all started somewhere.
Right.
Exactly.
It's very step one for me. So that when I think about those hours devoted, I go, I should really use those hours to be like working on stuff. And I have like assignments and I have different things that I'm, like, I think I told you about this. I have one of the jobs. I don't even know if I can say it. I don't know
break
if
NDA, homie.
Yeah, I'm not
Don't
trying to
break
break any NDAs, but it's like it's kind of like a fun, geeky, like research thing that I do on the side. So anytime I do think about like, oh, it's about like 3 p.m. If I get into the kitchen now, I could maybe tinker around and look up a recipe and maybe do something, and however long it's going to take in the oven or whatever. Like I think about that, I go, I could probably put those 2 hours to use over here. So that's crappy. But James, I appreciate you being like,
that's a very bad excuse.
Have you had time? Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I'm still waiting for huevos con weenie.
Where is it, fool?
That doesn't take hours.
What it is it and where it is
Yeah.
it?
That's what I got.
That does not take hours. So what it is?
Some plates.
What it is, fool?
What it
Heat
is
them
the
up in the
problem?
microwave a little bit. I should do that. I should
the
do
microwave
that.
just keeps calling you, doesn't it?
Well, it's funny because like the cooking thing. Before the pandemic, before the panini, I cooked, but I mean, I still just kind of cook, kind of like I'm not really cooking anything like masterful or anything. But I've come to appreciate the like downtime I have when I cook.
Yeah,
because I'm not focused on. I'm like no videos, no Twitter, no Instagram, no nothing. I'm just like food.
Yeah,
and I'm just focused on that. And it's therapeutic almost.
I like cooking. Yesterday for dinner, I made In-N-Out style Wagyu beef burgers.
Ooh,
and they were delicious.
Wagyu beef, more like my tongue is wagging. That sounds delicious.
So Hector, there's no excuse, bud.
I know there's none.
No excuse whatsoever.
Again, my thing is, I did this the other day. I was doing like, we got a whole mess of dishes, and I'm doing them all. And I put on my audiobook because I do a Nerdist book club. So every month we got to read a book. And I was like listening to the audiobook and getting into it. And then by the time I was done with my dishes, I was like, I could keep doing more dishes because I was into it. That's what I have to set up. And then,
cooking.
and then for cooking, something in the kitchen. And then, that's what I got to do.
Nice.
Good advice.
Feel like
good advice.
We need to be there to keep you.
Well, that's fun. That's a different thing.
Yeah, to keep you engaged in the cooking.
If my girlfriend also has time, because she also has a busier schedule than I do, but if she were to have time and we would both be cooking together, I enjoy that. I do like that, and it's cool for me, and I have no problem being a sous chef. Yeah,
Whenever I'm in the kitchen, I tell everybody to get the hell out.
Oh,
I cannot cook with other people.
I'm good, but I do think a little bit like that McDonald's movie with Michael Keaton, where like they were like, this is your station, this is your station. Like when you walk over here, don't interact with it, like that kind of crossover thing. So I try to be very considerate. If I'm in there with Abby or something, and I'm like, do you need help? Can I do it? Can I take this dish? Can I wash this? We're good to go. Do you need ingredients? You do this?
You
do
are
that?
good at that. That's what I've seen you do whenever we have like little get-togethers.
Yeah.
You're good at that guy, but you need to be the chef. We need a little. We need a
a John Favreau you.
Yeah, we need John Favreau. We need a little Remy to be pulling your hair. We need something. Next podcast, Hector.
Sorry, that doesn't make any sense.
You need to bring a meal for us that we're going to eat on the podcast.
When are we doing our next one?
I don't know.
Next week, a week after, because you're doing your thing. I can't give it to you guys through the computer. I'll mail you some food.
It's funny though you bring that up. The night before we did our Friendsgiving, my mom was here and she helped me make potato salad. The Czech potato salad. And it was the first time I ever had someone help me do it.
Yeah.
And it is a little bit of that thing of like
it's infuriating.
It wasn't even that, but I think like we just didn't discuss.
I'm never gonna help you cook.
No,
man.
don't ever help me cook, Hector.
We just didn't discuss like a technique or like what our roles were.
Yeah.
So there were points where it was like she would be cutting something and then she would stop, so I go cut it, and then she'd be like, "Oh, I'll finish it and go do this instead." And it just like it was a poorly communicated situation. So I think if I were to do it again, I'd be like, okay. You worry about this, I'll worry about this, you worry about that, I'll clean this, I'll clean that, you do this,
Communication is key.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's what makes a good kitchen run.
Hell out of my kitchen.
Fair enough.
Riley I think it's Wisniewski asks, was there a show or movie that you loved as a kid but had to sneak around your parents to watch?
Oh, yes, 1,000%. Anything on MTV, first of all.
Oh, really?
So I grew up
Beavis and Butthead.
Beavis and Butthead specifically, but basic like Eon Flux. I always felt weird watching that around my parents because it was weirdly sexual.
Yeah.
For a little kid to be watching.
Yeah.
But it was Beavis and Butthead because for some reason I loved Beavis and Butthead growing up. And they were hilarious to me, and I used to love when they used to watch music videos and do They were the original reactors. They were reacting to music videos back in the 90s, dude.
It was like Mystery Science Theater.
Kind of. They were clowning on them, and I'd never seen characters like that. And they were very much catered to kids my age, too. It was so much to the point that I was so paranoid when I would sneak into the living room at night. Like, I thought it was late. It was probably like 11. 11. The house was dark or whatever. Yeah. And I would I would turn it on MTV, which was channel 15 at the time. But I would be paranoid the whole time. I'm like, and I would ask my friends, I'd be like, so your parents' cable bill doesn't log the channels you're watching, right?
That's hilarious.
Because I was so paranoid. And also because of that, though, I got really good at setting the VCR timer for recording. And so I never let my VCR blink 12 because I needed it to be accurate, so that I could program it to record Beavis and Butthead and Saturday Night Live. Oh. So I would record, and Conan O'Brien.
Oh, okay. And then you would watch them and then delete the tape? Or like
and then I would just record over it.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I just kept using the same tape over and over. And if there was an episode I liked, I would get a different tape. So I wouldn't record over that tape. I remember
that's great.
I remember the morning I woke up Sunday morning having just recorded Saturday Night Live. And that tape held the first time that the Cowbell sketch aired.
Oh, man. Late 90s.
And I watched that scene probably all day that Sunday.
Yeah.
I just kept rewinding it over and over and over again because it was the funniest thing I had ever seen up to that point. And I was dying. But to me, it was Beavis and Butthead. And
that's great.
I think it was Unsolved Mysteries too.
Oh,
that's just because that shit was scary though.
Yeah,
that was just plain scary. So I would record an episode, watch it the next day, and then delete it because I thought there was ghosts on the VCR.
That's amazing. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Mine is True Lies.
Nice.
Oh, that's a spicy movie, bro.
Too sexy for kids.
Let me preface this by saying that by 6 years old, I was going to my family's friend's house and watching RoboCop with 3 scoops of ice cream, watching Alex Murphy get his arm and hands and head blown off.
Yep.
And watching Terminator 2. Like, I watched a lot of stuff that at 6 you probably shouldn't watch.
You shouldn't have.
Yeah. But I do remember there was one moment where True Lies was on TV. And like I knew Jamie Lee Curtis from Halloween, and I knew Schwarzenegger because Schwarzenegger was Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I'm watching this movie, and it was like the first time I had watched it. I had obviously no clue that Jamie Lee Curtis was going to do like a whole stripped down scene where she's dancing.
That's great.
And I remember in bed and like I'm watching it, action, 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 crazy shit's happening.
And then naked.
And then that happens. And I just remember because we lived in a 2-story at that point.
Of course, your mom walks in at that moment.
That fucking moment.
Of course.
What are you watching? What are you watching? Give me. I'm like, no, it's an action movie. It's a Schwarzenegger action movie. She's like, you're not gonna be watching this. So every time that movie came on, I always had to like, okay, did I leave on before this part? After this part? Okay, I had to like work my way around that scene.
You've pieced
and once
it together.
I got around it, I was good. I would turn it down, and then I was like, okay, action, okay, we're good. And then I would turn it up, and I was fine. But that one scene was the damn scene that always killed me every time.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jamie Lee.
Thanks, Jamie Lee. You ruined my childhood.
There was that's so funny because a similar thing happened to me, but not. It was a movie that my mom rented, thinking it was more of like an appropriate comedy.
Yeah.
And it was that movie Election with Reese Witherspoon.
Never saw it.
Never saw it either.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if it super holds up that well. But that's kind of part of it. Is that Matthew Broderick's kind of a piece of shit, and so is Reese Witherspoon. She's kind of a terrible, ambitious person. Yeah, it's not my favorite movie, but she rented it thinking it was kind of like an appropriate, maybe not family comedy, but like PG-13. And then 5 minutes into the movie, a male character starts describing how something really just like pretty graphic for laughs. And my mom, I'll never forget, it was a DVD. She immediately got up and she was like, okay, that's enough of that. And like took the DVD out. And I was just, and I remember kind of
burned it.
No, I remember kind of being like, thinking it was funny, but also kind of being like, Mom, read the thing. Like, it's like, you got to know what you, like, it always bugs me when people just like go to the movie theater
blindly
without a plan. you know, or maybe even rent stuff without a plan. Because I'm like,
I'm just a baby. You should be.
like,
You should be monitoring.
I'm a little baby boy. I'm 12. I'm just a baby. And then the other one was when I was a kid. My parents didn't let me watch The Simpsons.
Oh, my parents hated The Simpsons.
But then eventually my parents let me watch The Simpsons except for the Halloween episodes.
Oh, interesting.
Because they were like bloody and they were like violent and stuff. Yeah. And then eventually my parents stopped caring. And I remember at one point I was like, it's Halloween, is it okay? And I think my dad or my mom were like, it's fine. Enough. Who cares?
Yeah.
I don't even know if I was old enough. I feel like this was all like in quick succession. I was still like the same age, but they were like,
You know what's crazy? I had a Bart Simpson like figure. Yeah. It was like
everybody did.
Yeah, it was like
I had a piggy bank from TJ.
Yeah, piggy bank from TJ.
It was like a Bart Simpson. He had
the fuzzy ones.
He had like a skateboard.
Yeah.
But I honestly like don't remember ever watching The Simpsons.
Oh, that's very funny.
I mean,
but I like
the
love
Simpsons
Bart Simpson.
Huge in the 90s.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe it was even just those Butterfinger commercials. Who knows?
Yeah.
I remember my parents didn't let me watch The Simpsons because my dad hated the word stupid. We could not say stupid at home. We called each other stupid. Oh my God, it was the end of the world.
Wow.
But I remember, so I didn't have video games at a video game system growing up or could watch The Simpsons because in elementary school, one of the superintendents gave a speech at a parent-teacher conference or something like that, blaming the whole reason why kids were on the bad track was because of a Nintendo. He called it, what's a Nintendo? No Nintendo? No Nintendo? Like, kids don't understand. And The Simpsons.
Stupid.
Those two things were on that guy's shit list, and therefore they became the shit list at my parents' house.
I hate
I'm just
that,
like,
man.
oh
That
my
sucks,
God,
dude.
it was so dumb.
That sucks. It worked.
It worked.
It worked on your parents.
And I still can't say stupid in front of my parents. I can't burp in front of them either.
That's so
they
funny.
hate that shit too, but
That's so funny.
it's okay.
It's okay.
Wow.
It's okay.
That makes me mad. It makes me want to go and find that teacher and be like,
superintendent, homie.
It was a superintendent then or now?
Oh, then
I want to go find that superintendent and be like, do you still feel that way? Mm-hmm. Do you honestly believe that The Simpsons or a Nintendo was the reason that kids were doing bad in school?
Right. And this was the 90s, and there was a lot of gang activity.
Sure.
And so in that, they were wrapping all of this media stuff.
Because I want to confront a person like that and be like, but be real though. Like, you know, it's like socioeconomic status and like parental ability and all these factors that has nothing to do with like the media specific. I'm like, really? Did you? And I feel like they would go like, yeah, no, it's not that. It's like, okay, cool, because you ruined my friend's life.
You ruined my childhood.
Okay,
you ruined my childhood, basically.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, because it's like now Simpsons is like tame. Even those old edgy episodes, they also still had heart. Yeah, and they were like they had like good moral lessons and stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever. Makes me mad.
Nelson Salazar says, hello, big fan of the trio. What are your favorite or not so favorite movies of 2021?
Last year, I liked Dune. I liked Shang-Chi. I liked Spider-Man. Was a good time.
Yeah.
I liked Eternals. Dang. I need to list some non.
I didn't watch a lot of movies in 2021.
Yeah.
What did I watch on Netflix that wasn't?
Yeah, a lot of shows.
For me, it's definitely Spider-Man, definitely Dune. The Green Knight is way up there as well.
Cool.
And I did love the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, that was a good time.
When did I watch? I don't remember when I watched this movie, but Eurovision. Have you guys seen Eurovision
No,
yet?
it's on Netflix. That was last year.
Was that last year?
Maybe it was 2019. I don't know.
I don't remember
last
when it came
year
out.
was all of it was the pandemic.
All of it was the
It's
pandemic. Last year was the whole pandemic, and I know I saw
2020,
Eurovision in the pandemic.
Okay, great.
Hey, we're celebrating year 2, aren't we?
You shut your face.
Don't even. I
Jesus.
thought it was year 5, but I don't.
No
I don't
Nintendo.
know.
This guy.
No
over here.
Nintendo. This
Come
guy
on.
over here. No Nintendo.
Cut it out.
But I remember watching Eurovision, and by the end of it, like getting choked up at like the emotion. Like it's a very funny movie, very freaking funny.
Yeah.
But like Will Ferrell in a comedic role had me like choking up.
I love it.
At this like crescendo moment of him singing the song, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is brilliant. Like, it's so good. It's
great.
so good. So
That's great.
I'm going to count that as my 2021 pandemic movie.
I have to check my Letterboxd, and my phone is at 1%, so it's probably going to die. So,
It's a good thing we have 15 plugs here where you could have plugged in a charging cable.
well, I should have brought one.
Good thing you live in a house where you have a lot of cable.
Let's see.
This is a no Apple house.
If I were to think about movies that I didn't like, it's not. I don't even really know because
I didn't spend a lot of time watching stuff I didn't enjoy.
Justice League was very long, and I think it was way too long.
Zack Snyder's Justice League?
Yeah. But I didn't dislike it.
I didn't dislike it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess my only critique of it was like, I don't know if I needed it to be 4 hours.
I almost forgot that I even watched that movie though.
Yeah, it was very
it wasn't
early
bad,
last
but it was
year.
very forgettable as well.
And
was very
Encanto
early.
was last year. That was great.
Encanto was great.
Encanto was good.
No Time to Die, I did enjoy.
Yep. James Bond.
I think there were more movies that I enjoyed than didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do with, this is going to break my heart saying it, but I didn't enjoy Halloween Kills as much as I thought I would.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah. And they just wrapped Halloween Ends. So I'm like, please, begin.
Yeah.
You know, the only movie that I watched that I didn't enjoy was The Matrix.
That was last year.
Yeah, it was end of last year.
Yeah.
Also, I saw, I think it was last year, Werewolves Within. I love that movie.
Never saw that.
I love that movie. It's a video game adaptation.
Oh,
But it stars Sam
is
Richardson.
it Altered Beast?
No,
is it the
I
game Altered
wish.
Beast?
It stars Sam Richardson from Ted Lasso and from The After Party and from, which is also a great show that I really enjoyed, but that's this year. Werewolves Within is a hilarious like mystery werewolf movie comedy that's really, really, really good.
Interesting.
I gave it 5 stars. I loved it.
Did we watch Mulan last year? Was that your year before?
Maybe that was the year before.
Was it year before? Yeah. Some of it's hard to like really tell exactly when.
The past couple years has been just
but I think last year I also did spend a lot of time watching stuff that I had already seen that maybe I hadn't seen in a while. But yeah.
I don't know if it was 2021. Yeah, it was. Judas and the Black Messiah was great. That was a really good movie. That was really. I'm like right now catching up on some of the like critically acclaimed. I just watched that Ben Affleck movie, The Tender Bar. It was okay.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Affleck was great.
Yeah, I have that that I want to watch, and I have the one he just did with Ana de Armas. Deep Water.
Deep Water.
We all have a screening link for that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna wait. It's gonna be on Hulu
I want
soon.
to see Turning Red, and there's quite a few things I want to see.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Danny Elizondo asks, what do you guys think of Hispanics/Latinos in comic book films coming in a bit more? I had a small idea one day that maybe the Robin for the new Batman films could be Mexican. I just feel like we need more representation for our side of culture and people. Any future roles that y'all can think can be best represented by Hispanics or Latinos?
I honestly, at this point, I feel like there's no excuse to have more Latinos. So my big gripe right now is that there's not enough Latino representation in any of this comic book universe.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't want that comment to come off putting down any other representation of a minority group that has been out there,
right?
Because a rising tide raises all ships, right?
And it's not like you're saying like a Mexican actor should play Shang-Chi,
right? Exactly.
It's like there's
Shang-Chi shouldn't happen in favor of
correct.
But I'm also not saying that like they shouldn't have done Shang-Chi. They should have done another Latino superhero or whatever, right? Because Ryan Coogler's killing it.
Yep.
Everything that happened in Shang-Chi was dope. Everything that's coming up is freaking awesome.
Wonder Woman, we celebrated when Wonder Woman came out. We celebrated when Captain Marvel came out.
I'm super happy with any kind of representation.
Yeah, absolutely.
But my criticism is that there is not enough Latino representation,
which
is a very fair criticism, but I don't want to detract from anybody else who has been getting success and been getting recognized as well. As far as I feel like the character who could break through all of that is Robbie Reyes as Ghost Rider. I feel like that representation specifically of Ghost Rider can come in and just like take it by storm.
Yeah.
I don't know if it could reach Black Panther levels of of acclaim or hugeness, but I feel like having that sort of Chicano representation of like a young guy coming from East LA, really like kind of changing the character of Ghost Rider and making him very different from the kind of thing he is before. Yeah. And then introducing the character of Ghost Rider, like bringing that into the MCU. I think that's massive. And I think it could be really, really dope. But
I am hoping to just continue with that conversation that because Daredevil, Charlie Cox just showed up, because Kingpin, Vincent D'Onofrio just showed up, that Marvel Studios is not ignoring the TV shows that were made as part of the MCU that maybe they didn't make, but ABC Television made it, Netflix made it, whatever. Because Robbie Reyes showed up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
He is an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And he was maybe even going to get a TV show, and then it was squashed on Hulu. And I'm hoping that going forward with whatever they're doing with Blade, as it ties into Moon Knight, as it ties into Werewolf by Night, who's supposed to be a Mexican actor playing that character, that there's room for, okay, if we're doing like the Midnight Suns or the supernatural side of Marvel and we need a Ghost Rider, hell yeah, it should be Robbie. You already have an actor who played him. Yes. You already have that established. Right. Not that a Johnny Blaze, character couldn't also pop up or anything like that, but like I'm really, really hoping that the same way that they just looked at Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio and are hopefully bringing back other of the Netflix Marvel actors, it's like, dude, just bring back
Gabriel Luna.
He's so into that role.
Right.
And he's awesome. And he killed it in Terminator. And he's really, really great. Yeah. I think that there could be, I think Moon Knight's really interesting that it's Mr. Isaac. Who, by the way, did you guys see his SNL monologue?
Yes,
no, I didn't see it. Funny.
It's
you gotta
amazing.
watch it. You gotta watch it. But I'm just really curious to see like if and how that will change the Moon Knight character, like his like ethnicity or his background. Who already is a character who had kind of an interesting like background in the comics, because it's like it was like a white guy, but I think he was also either supposed to be or implied or something that he's Jewish. So there's like, to involve faith and religion and stuff into it, but also ethnicity. I don't know. I'm curious to see how that plays out. I also don't know on the Marvel side. On the DC side, I'm very excited about Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
But I am still, I think we're all still kind of like, we're all bummed that it was that and Batgirl. But did Blue Beetle move to theatrical?
It has, yeah.
Okay, it's moved to a theatrical release, which is super, super cool. And there's been some cool like casting news coming from that. And can Blue Beetle do what Black Panther did? I don't know, because Black Panther was such an amazing moment.
Yeah.
And then Shang-Chi did something in my mind that is in a good way attempting to do the same thing, which is like, here's an Asian American superhero movie story where it's like you have the side of people of Asian descent in the United States. What's that world like? The conversation at that breakfast table was awesome. Yeah. And then cut to what can we explore from Asian mythology and, folklore and lore and all of that stuff. And what can we incorporate to make it super, super cool? The way that Black Panther tied into some African imagery and mythology and all this amazing stuff. It's all still Marvel comic booky. Yeah. So I'm like, can that be done with any character from a like Latino lens? And I don't know if there's a character who can, but I didn't know if Shang-Chi would have been my pick for that years ago. Yeah, but what they turned Shang-Chi into, what they elevated that character into, I was all for. I was so on board with. So in my mind, it's tricky because to me, the character that I want it to be is Nova, Sam Alexander, because I feel like he can provide the Mexican American experience. And instead of trying to do something that is very like, it's ancestral, we're going to a homeland, I feel like, again, to do that for 3 times in a row is like, okay, now we're doing the Latino one. Okay, we're going to go to Latin America. And that's awesome and that's beautiful. But I still kind of feel like, okay, at this point, is this a formula that you guys are doing and kind of plug and play? Right. So I'm thinking, how can we make this unique? What if it is more leaning into the child of immigrants, which is also an experience that is super relatable. We've seen it in some superhero movies. We've seen it in some Marvel movies, but to like lean into that in a big way. And then to try to include some of the history and lineage, but more focus on like, and then Sam is who he is today, but then he's going into space. But here's the thing. Nova is not a character that Sam originated. Shang-Chi was always Shang-Chi. T'Challa was always Black Panther. This was a legacy character like Blue Beetle. So it's going to be interesting how they deal with that. But then again, Captain Marvel was a legacy character. Right. And they found a workaround to basically say, even the original Captain Marvel, it's Annette Bening. It's a woman. So maybe they'll find a way to be like the original Nova, Richard Rider. He was a Latino. Maybe they'll attach more of that meaning to Sam Alexander. I don't know. So I have mixed feelings about that, but to the commenter's point, who did the comment? Danny, talking about like what else could we do? It's like, dude, there's no reason for the Fantastic Four to not be very diverse.
Right, exactly.
Reed Richards could be a Latino. You know, there's no reason for the X-Men to be very diverse. Scott Summers could be Latino. Hank McCoy could be Latino. Bobby Drake could be Latino. Anne Gay. You know, like Jean Grey could be Latina. Like there's so many different characters that Charles Xavier, Carlos Javier. There's just a lot of different things that they could do to attach to characters who may have already existed that we haven't seen yet in the MCU that were traditionally white characters that I have really no problem when they kind of make that change, only because it's usually just a drop in the bucket. It's usually just one little M&M in a bowl of M&Ms. Right. And when people get upset about that, it has that real Harry Potter stepbrother vibe where it's like, last year I had 37 white male protagonists. And this year it's 36.
It's 36
like,
now.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
It's
a complex and interesting
it's a very complex question.
convo.
And well, especially because a lot of the characters that we were talking about, not all, but there definitely are many characters where them being American or them being of another, descent doesn't really matter.
Right.
I feel like if it's someone like Magneto, then his thing is very tied to being,
I
the
agree.
World War II.
I agree.
Exactly.
Or again, Steve Rogers, I think, had to be a straight white guy for that historical story.
Right.
I think in a lot of ways Wolverine might need to, but then people were saying, dude, Wolverine should be Native American.
Yeah.
Or Latino, and I'm like, hell yeah, dude.
He should be.
Wolverine's my dad's height. Just have a little hairy Mexican guy.
We cannot. Yeah, exactly. Find the buffest, shortest Mexican you can find.
They're out there.
They are out there.
A lot of hair.
Find a Mexican boxer who can act.
Yeah,
like that is who you want to be Wolverine.
Yeah. And be like, hey, I'm from Canada, fool. It's like, all right, dude.
Fuck, dog.
Hey,
what do you know about Canada, Holmes?
Hey, what you know about maple syrup, fool? I'm going to get you with my claws. I say, like, oh, shit. This little guy means business.
And then he comes up to the guys, fucking talking shitty. Fucking talking shitty. And then he pops his claws.
I hope his claws look like hockey blades.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God.
So,
great question.
Good question.
Greg McCoy asks, which Inquisitors do you think we'll see in Obi-Wan? Which one would you like to see? I'd love to see Trilla, the second sister from Jedi Fallen Order.
I don't know their names. All I know is that I've seen them and they have spinny blades and that they're badasses.
We got Sleepy. We got Doc.
We got Inquisitors.
We got little Mosca. We got Droopy.
Droopy's a scary Inquisitor. La Fea. She's mean. She's mean.
She's mean, yeah.
And
we got La Sad Girl.
La Sad Girl. She's not so mean.
She's just sad.
I would love to see the seventh sister. She was from
Can
Star
you
Wars
explain
Rebels.
the seventh sister, please?
Yeah, so she was in Star Wars. Well, you probably know. She was in Star Wars Rebels Season 2.
Okay.
She ends up kicking the bucket because she fights Darth Maul and oh my God, Darth Maul and what's the kid's name? Ezra Bridger.
Ezra Bridger.
She fights them, and then Darth Maul force pulls her and slices her in half and kills her. But she's voiced by Sarah Michelle Gellar. I would love to have the seventh sister brought in and have her actually played by Sarah Michelle Gellar.
That'd be tight.
A lot of the other Inquisitors have mostly been in like comic books, the video games.
How many are there?
How many Inquisitors?
We have the Grand Inquisitor in Rebels.
Right.
We have the fifth brother in Rebels. We have the seventh sister in Rebels. And the fifth brother and the seventh sister kind of worked together a lot.
I remember those.
So there's a sixth sibling and a fourth through first sibling.
Yes.
So we have potentially
the second sister is from Jedi Fallen Order. Reva is the third sister, and she is a new character created for the Obi-Wan series.
So there's 2 and 3. So we could still see 1, 4, and 5.
Yeah, and there's a few more that have been in comic books and novels that I'm not super familiar with.
Cool.
But the seventh sister, mostly because it's Sarah Michelle Gellar, I'm like, that'd be awesome if she came back.
That would be cool. Yeah. That would be way cool. But so all I know is that the Inquisitors are like the Jedi hunters, basically.
Yeah.
Like they are there to kill Jedi.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, is just like
trained by Darth Vader.
Yeah, it's insane that there is a group of like what could have been the Knights of Ren, which that never paid off. But
but you're right. It didn't pay off. It didn't pay off.
But I really like that a group like that exists. It's almost like the Did you guys ever watch season 5 of Samurai Jack? You saw
Yeah,
that, right?
hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
With
The Aku sisters?
The Aku sisters. Oh my god.
So cool.
Oh my god, Adam.
So
you need to
cool.
watch that.
Yeah.
It's
Did you ever
really
watch
good.
any of Samurai Jack?
I've watched, I think, like parts of season 1, but I haven't sat down and watched the
Bro,
whole thing.
is that what we're going to have to do for Patreon? Ooh. Dude, Samurai Jack is one of the greatest shows of all time.
Ooh.
Yeah, after I finished
And
watching...
Primal. We have to watch
after
Primal, too.
After I finished the first season of Primal, I started watching Samurai Jack. So I don't remember exactly
Wait.
how far I got.
How many episodes of Primal did you watch?
I
Because they
watched...
came out with new ones.
Yeah, I watched all of the first season.
There's 10 episodes. Did you watch 10 episodes?
Yeah, because I went to a screening and they had like the last 3. That's where I met
cool.
Gendy, remember?
Oh,
yes,
cool.
I remember that, but that wasn't. Those was the first 3.
The first 5?
So okay, so
5. Maybe
there
it was
was
5 episodes.
So there was the first set that
Screened
came
all
out,
of them for
and
us.
then they took a break.
Yeah.
and then there
Yeah.
was a whole second chunk of the first
Yeah,
season
that I
came
didn't
out.
see.
Oh,
Oh, dude,
Okay.
no, this is gonna have to be another
damn,
Patreon
dude.
goal, dude. This
Primal?
show
It's
is
the month of Gendy.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
yeah,
Primal
we're gonna
is
have to
next
do
level,
Yeah,
dude.
Primal is
Oh,
absolutely next
man.
level.
Maybe it was 5 episodes.
The
that I
last
saw then.
episode you saw was the one with the ape people, probably
Yeah,
the one
that was
where
crazy.
he took that drink and then went absolutely
Oh,
crazy.
yeah, I think so,
And then the
yeah.
dinosaur died.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's still 5 more episodes after
Oh,
that,
damn,
which are
okay.
even better than the first 5.
Yeah.
So I'm
they
wondering, maybe
it-
that screening was to advertise the upcoming.
It
because
ends
they took a long break.
crazy.
Yeah,
it
it's been a
ends
year break or
crazy.
something, isn't it?
Yeah. They took a really
Dang,
long
dude.
break at him, and
Add it to
the
the list.
second half of that first season
Yeah.
is insane. There's an
Yeah.
episode with a witch that's chilling.
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
there's
Oh,
just
that's my shit right
it's
there.
just
Yeah,
so
it's great.
crazy, man.
Yeah.
You need to
It's
watch
great.
this
Those first
whole
5
show.
were
But here's the
epic.
thing. Let me ask you this:
It's sad.
should we have Adam and all 3 of us watch Samurai Jack first? Because
I
in a
think
lot
so.
of ways, it feels
Yeah.
like Primal is kind of like the next.
The
And if we
next level.
start with Primal and then go back, you might
Yeah.
not be as impressed.
Right, because there are some very
Yeah.
slow, boring episodes of Samurai Jack.
Yeah. But hell, if we do 4 a night,
We can knock them out
we'll
quick.
get through that shit.
I've been
split.
meaning to go back too because I
Yeah.
remember the first time watching Samurai Jack being blown away,
Yeah.
and being sad that I missed it when it was a live cartoon.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I kind of caught it that way.
Yeah.
But it's another very satisfying watch that I think
Yeah.
you'll
Ooh.
like.
We should
Because
do it.
dude, the Gendy and his cinematography. There's this one episode where he fights a black ninja, and the whole episode is literally just.
shadow.
So he wears white and he
Right.
dresses in all white as a
Yeah,
ninja.
yeah.
The whole episode is literally just swatches of black and white, like no background, no like buildings, no environment,
they both
no
camouflage.
nothing. They're both camouflaging in these swatches of
sword
crazy angular colors, and they're coming out and like hitting each other, and it's insane, dude. What
Yeah.
Gendy does as far as a director is right up your alley when it
Yeah.
comes to a lot of this stuff.
You know
It's
what? You know what
crazy,
we
dude.
might have to do? We might have to do
crazy.
the first 4 seasons of Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
Take a break. Do Clone Wars, Gendy.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Then do
always a watch.
season
That's
5.
that's my shit right there.
Then do fucking Primal, baby. That's the move. Ooh.
We just made so much work for ourselves. Jesus
and
Christ.
we'll be done in 4 years.
For 87 years.
Dear Lord.
How many episodes is Samurai Jack each season?
Each season,
Do
I think,
have
is
it here?
13.
No, I don't have
oh, okay. So it's like X-Men.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they're short. They're
Yeah,
like
yeah,
22-minute episodes.
Yeah.
We can
Yeah.
knock
I mean,
them
we
out,
did
no
X-Men
problem.
season 1 in what, 4 nights?
3
Yeah.
weeks, yeah.
Yeah. Total. Yeah. 3 weeks total. Yeah.
So if you want to watch Adam watch Samurai Jack and everything Gendy-wise, let's make it happen
I
on the
like that.
Patreon.
I like
That's
that.
exciting.
I like
I
that.
would love
That
that.
is
After
exciting.
Arcane.
Yeah. Jenks asks, who's a fictional character you didn't like as a kid,
Jenks!
but have grown to empathize with, or you've gotten older?
She
E.g.
put
Squidward.
She put example given Squidward. I was going to say Squidward.
I think
I saw that
everybody
she put
thinks
Squidward.
Squidward
That's so
because
funny.
Yeah.
I mean, we all grew up with SpongeBob around that time.
I got another one for you.
Oh,
Goofy from a Goofy movie.
that's right. Because
When
you
we
see
were a
he's the
kid-
single dad
When
trying
we were a
hard.
kid, we're Max.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, Goofy is embarrassing.
What a
And then
dork.
when we watch it as we get older, we go, Goofy is such a good dad,
Yeah.
and he's trying,
Yeah.
and Max is being a little shit.
He is a little shit.
And
Absolutely.
Goofy and Bill Farmer in that performance, that could make me cry when he's in the jacuzzi talking to Pete. And he's like, I love my son. Hey, my kid respects me. And he's like, yeah, all right. Like, it's so
Right.
good.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Check the map, Goof.
the lengths he goes through to get on Max's good side is just absolutely
But it's
insane.
like, that movie's like Forrest Gump. Because he, at one point,
Yeah.
he confronts Max and he goes, why? I'm probably too stupid to understand anyway,
Yeah.
right? And
Oh
you're
my
like,
God.
Goofy knows he's stupid. Oh, can't say that word. I'm sorry. Goofy
Yeah,
knows he's-
exactly. My dad. Hey, what? Dad, it's okay.
Sorry, we'll bleep it out. We'll
I'm
bleep it out.
38 years old. It's
Bleep
fine.
it out. I can hear him getting his cintura right now. I can hear him getting the belt. I can just snapping it. Cinto.
Pop, pop.
What'd you say?
Not my mijo. Not my son.
Sorry, I meant to say fucking dumb. That's better.
Fucking
That's
idiot.
right. Good,
Yeah.
good. But if
That's
you
what
say
I thought.
stupid,
That's what I thought.
if you say stupid,
Don't burp.
don't burp, or I'm gonna kill you. Jesus, Dad.
Calm down.
Oh my god.
Is there any other characters though? Adam, can you think of one? I'm having trouble
surprisingly
thinking
for me,
of one.
it actually was Darth Vader.
That's controversial.
I like the look of Darth Vader, but as a character, I was like, "Fuck this guy! I don't give a shit about him. I hope he dies." And then, even though Return of the Jedi really tries to like make you feel something for him,
Yeah.
I think because I saw the prequels between the ages of 12 and 16,
Sure.
the way that some of the story, not all the prequels work for me, but some of the things that they do with some of the storytelling, I'm like, okay, it's not hitting it at a 10, but I'm understanding what you're trying to do here, and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling a little bit more empathetic towards this character because of the route that he's kind of sucked through, and that's actually one of the things I'm excited to explore in the Obi-Wan series, because in the show, Obi-Wan is very much kind of like he's disconnected himself. It's so funny because it's very much what Rian Johnson did with Luke, and everybody hated that. So I can't wait to see the hot takes people have with Obi-Wan Kenobi, because it's literally the same thing. He feels like he fails, so he completely disconnects himself from everything, and he's living with sort of this failure and this trauma of what happened to Anakin. So yeah, like those movies and a little bit of Return of the Jedi, I was like, okay, I'm starting to understand this character. Darth Vader was never played to the level of evil that I think he could have been played to. Like, sometimes there's villains in movies that you're like, that is one despicable son of a bitch.
Yeah, they cut away before he kills the kids.
Yeah.
Even that moment, I'm like, you could have showed him like slice into the first child.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I think he would have been irredeemable forever. But the fact that they cut away after the kid stumbles back for a second, it's still like
leaves it up to your
implied.
imagination.
Yeah,
Did he stutter?
Like,
Did he hesitate?
like Anakin was like, okay, leave the room.
Right. Did
Get
he
out.
really
No.
save one or two and let them get away?
Killed them all.
Hells
I know
no.
he did.
And if
But
he could have
it's like
killed
it's
Grogu,
nice
he
to
would
imagine.
have. He would have killed Grogu if he could have.
Oh,
I
he
know.
would have skewered Grogu. Are you kidding me? I think my only character, and this is kind of a deep cut, and this is only recent because people have been I've been seeing it brought up on the internet, is Al Borland from Home Improvement. He was Tim the Toolman Taylor's
Sidekick, yeah.
shitty sidekick.
He was better than he was awesome.
better than Tim in every other way.
Yep.
And he landed the hot model tool girl that was on the show as well. So props to you, Al Borland.
You
Yeah.
dad bod, tool nerd to the max, like living his own life, and just he wins. Al Borland fucking is my hero.
It's funny because it was always a great dynamic to have. It was perfect because Tim Allen's character and sort of his even like stand-up persona was like very full of himself, very full of himself. So the show was always like, but he actually is second fiddle to his wife. His wife is better than him, smarter than him, and like
his kids really run the show as well.
His kids run the show, and then even on the show that he's on, where it's like Tool Time with Tim the Toolman Taylor.
Al Borland was really
knew
running
more.
the show, exactly.
And what was so great about the show is that the bit was it wasn't written; it was just actually Tim trying to be good.
Yeah.
And then Al sarcastically, dryly being like, "Well, I don't think that's right, Tim," and he was always correct.
Yeah.
And the audience,
Always.
the live audience that they filmed that show in front of, would laugh, and they would be on Al's side.
Yeah.
And I feel like Tim Allen knew that and kind of played it up like, well, brother. But like after they would cut, he was still friends with Al. But I think that was smart.
It's a great show.
Yeah,
and when I was a
self-deprecating
kid,
humor.
I thought Al was just a nerdy guy.
Yeah.
now I know that he's Al, you're the best.
One of us.
No, it's the same with I know how much you love Conan O'Brien. I didn't really appreciate Andy Richter.
Andy, right.
100%.
Right? And then I got older and I'm like, actually, Conan
doesn't
is
work without him.
as good as he is because Andy's there.
He set him up.
Oh my
He set
god!
him up. Yeah.
Just the episode they did with Seth Rogen where they're smoking a joint, and Conan's very much like, yeah, okay, and Seth's like, you're holding it backwards, and then he gives it to Andy, and he's like, well, yeah, I'll take some.
He's all cool and shit.
All cool and shit, all experienced, and I'm like, yeah, you're the guy. You're
Very Al
the guy.
Borland energy.
It's very Al
totally.
Borland energy.
That's
Yeah.
so great. Great question, Jenks. Thank you so much. Corey asks, with Matt Reeves' Batman receiving a very Fincher-esque treatment and giving us undeniably the best detective version we've seen of the character on the big screen, what is an intellectual property that you feel hasn't been properly adapted yet and would like to see? Been following you guys since the superhero news days, and I'm glad you found a platform where you can continue your journey. Always interesting listening to your discussions, whatever they may be. Thank you, Corey.
A lot of it's been done well, but I think Superman, in a lot of ways, is like hasn't gotten that treatment yet. Dragon Ball Z,
Yeah.
that whole world,
That whole
got
world
one
needs to-
crappy shot in the
Yeah.
mid 2000s from Fox, and like that could be done better.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some off the top of my head.
I feel like Avatar,
yeah,
The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
I'm scared for the Netflix special.
yeah, very
The
trepidatious.
creators dipped
Nervous,
out on that
nervous,
project
yeah.
too. So I'm
But
just like,
again,
what's gonna happen?
the silver lining for that is it either went so well or so badly
Right.
that the creators stepped away and they went, okay, fine, we're doing Avatar Studios
Yeah.
and we're going to do our own new cartoon
That's
shows.
true. I forgot that Avatar Studios
So no matter
happened.
what
Yeah.
happens with that Netflix live action show, and then you just recently finished the show for the first time, but you haven't done Korra yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe
One
we could do
episode.
that as a Patreon. Hey, I'm getting ahead of myself. But
Too much work.
But there's going to be cool new stuff coming from them on this
Yeah.
side. So whatever happens, we're getting new stuff, and so that's
That's
and
true.
we'll always have the show
And always
But-
have the show.
But I hear what
Always
you're
have the
saying.
show.
That was a whiff. They whiffed
So
it.
bad. I feel like we need to watch that movie. Do you have it in 3D?
No, but I think I could rent it
You should get it
for
in
like
3D.
$5
maybe.
on Vudu.
I think that's
yeah.
really what we should do, Adam, is just
Ugh.
watch it in 3D at Hector's house.
Yeah,
and
it's-
drink beers
because you've never
laugh.
seen it.
No. I only did
It's-
some test shots for it.
I think
garbage.
I think we could only watch like 5 minutes of it.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Sober?
Yeah,
they
yeah,
start off
yeah,
by
yeah.
calling him Ong. Ong.
Dude,
they
don't
can't
even-
even
don't-
pronounce his name right. Okay,
Don't even
I've
get me
said too
started.
much already.
maybe that could be a Patreon goal. Is that we just like crack open beers and rip into that, but watch it in 3D at my house and record ourselves.
exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
God.
Going whoa.
The question specifically states big screen, so I will say Superman as well. But even
Yeah.
though we haven't watched Superman and Lois season 2 yet,
Yeah.
Superman Lois season 1 is
Oh,
exceptional.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that show is
Exceptional.
fantastic.
Again, and pieces of small, like
Yeah,
across
yeah.
all of the pieces.
Yeah, there's pieces
There's
everywhere.
moments of pure Superman,
Yeah,
true
right.
Superman, even in even in Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Which the years in my mind haven't been kind to my rewatches,
Right.
but there's still things in there where I'm like, yes, that's
That's it.
Right.
is good.
They get to the
There's
core
little,
of it,
there's a little
yeah.
taste.
Little taste.
Ninja Turtles for sure.
Oh yeah.
Live action specifically.
Not since 1990.
I
You're
mean
right.
that
I do,
original
like the, I
movie.
do like the 2007
Perfect.
animated film.
The
Yeah,
animated
yeah.
film got close to that
TMNT.
part,
Yeah.
that
TMNT.
really goodness that there's in there. But I feel like there's so much room for the TMNT
Yeah.
universe.
Yeah.
Like, there's
G.I.
so
Joe,
much
maybe?
cool stuff.
G.I. Joe?
G.I. Joe is very weird to me, and all of those but Ninja Turtles falls into that as
Yeah.
well. But there's
Yeah.
something about the Turtles that sets them apart. But like G.I. Joe's, Transformers, and all that stuff.
He-Man,
He-Man,
Thundercats.
it feels very strange, and Thundercats, because those were specifically made to sell toys.
Yeah.
You know, and it feels very weird to me to try to like bring back the nostalgia of something that was made by a big corporation, whereas
Yeah.
like Ninja Turtles was made by two
It
creators.
it started indie.
and started indie, and it was
But
just
listen,
like this blow up comic.
But real
right?
talk, you love the Turtle Van.
I love the turtle.
You
Van.
love that turtle
I know.
blimp.
I love the different colors.
Those
like,
all made
everything
to
that
sell
came out in the
toys. Yeah.
cartoon and everything that happened in the original 1990 movie,
Yeah.
like that is the heart and soul of the Turtles to me.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
to
yeah.
people who are older than me, that's not the heart and soul of the Turtles. right?
I am with you, and I think that He-Man, especially as a property to sell toys, I look at Thor Ragnarok and I
Yeah.
go, this should be the tone of He-Man
Yes.
for like a live action movie.
Yeah, that
and
would
I,
be fun.
I also look at the recent Netflix show He-Man, or rather Masters of the Universe Revelation, because that's such a fascinating show because like they're just doing nostalgia overdrive,
Yeah.
but they really hired, I think, very good writers to tackle 5 episodes and then 5 episodes for that whole thing, and there's a finality to it, and characters die. And for them to go, how can we make you care about this character?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
really with really good writing, and it worked for me.
It's possible.
It's
yeah.
possible.
It's
So I
doable.
think it's possible with G.I. Joe. It's possible with He-Man. It's possible with Transformers. I got a little taste of it with Bumblebee.
Yeah.
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 I
that's
would,
true.
I would have
That's very
loved.
true.
I would have loved more of that. But yeah, I think
And we'll see what happens with Rise of the Beasts, or whatever it's called.
Beast Wars.
Yeah.
You know what?
I started rewatching that on Tubi, and
Ooh.
it is crazy bad. like
Wars?
the visuals of Beast Wars
Yeah.
is just
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
god, it's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Like
Lots
I
of room for improvement.
I understand.
Yeah,
like
I think
as a
they,
kid,
because they used like Minesweeper to animate it. It was
I think they used one of those TI-83 calculators.
They used Windows Solitaire. That actually was the animation program. So at the end of each episode, all the cards would come out. Yay!
Oh my
I
God.
win.
We did a Beast Wars.
Oh my God. Power Rangers is another big one for me.
Yeah,
I know there are people who really like that 2017 movie. There are things about it I really did enjoy.
Yeah.
But I feel like overall it tried a little bit too hard to be like
too grounded and
too
gritty.
grounded and serious.
Yeah.
And I don't personally feel like that's what Power Rangers is. Like the charming thing about it is the fact that it is a little bit more lighthearted and fun.
Yeah.
Like that also like a Ragnarokish tone would be kind of, a little bit more lighthearted and stuff. Because I mean, like, think about it. They're teenage kids.
Yeah.
And I think if it's too dramatic and it doesn't have a good enough balance,
It's got to be fun.
yeah, it's got to be really
Ultimately,
fun.
and I think that as much as I like to rag on the original live action movie of Power Rangers, it did have that fun tone.
Yeah.
It had that silliness, Ivan Ooze,
Yeah.
and like
And it definitely
they
helps to
start
carry over the actors.
skydiving and rollerblading and just like of course that's the Power.
Action boy now, and you're like, yeah, this is the cheese.
Wasn't it?
The parents get all
Red Hot Chili
brainwashed.
Peppers?
It was.
Wasn't
Yeah.
it Chili Pepper song?
Higher Ground, I think
Higher
it was.
Ground.
Yeah,
Exactly. The parents are all brainwashed. And, the kids got to save the town with the fire hose. And
Yeah.
Okay,
Then at the
cool.
end, it's Van Halen playing during the fireworks, and you're like, 90s, baby.
know it.
I gotta
They know what
rewatch
they're
that,
doing.
man.
It's great.
When's the last time you saw
It's
that?
been years.
I
Probably
need
since
to rewatch that.
2017.
I have the
earlier.
Shout remaster. It's very well done. Very good remaster.
I gotta bring you back your Underworlds. I'm not done with those yet.
Chonies?
I got it. Yeah, I borrowed some Underworlds.
Some chonies.
Some Underworlds.
David Gatehouse asks, hey guys, love the channel. Been following since Superhero News. Thank you very much. My question is, if you could be any superhero, who would it be? But to become that hero, you would have to go through the events that created them.
Well, I'm gonna overthink it.
It's a good question.
I'm gonna overthink
This is
it.
going to sound
Very good question.
horrible.
Yeah, Superman.
Yeah.
Kill a planet.
Of course. We would all
Sorry,
die.
Earth.
We would all
Sorry.
die.
I know, not worth
But
it.
the thing is, I'm only 3, so I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
sure.
true. That's
but
very
then
true.
in this like
In
magic
this
wish,
instance, is it like now?
yeah, in this magic wish, are you all of a sudden 30-year-old Superman or 33-year-old Superman, and then you're like, oh wait, I'm real, but are you still Adam with Adam's memories? But now you're Superman,
Yeah,
and they
he's
have to live that
already
life.
overthinking it.
Overthinking it.
That's a very tough question because now I'm just like, well, what's worth suffering through?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think
Because-
of people's
Yeah,
origins.
because if I were to be like Batman, then you're like, okay, but where does your wealth come from if you're just you?
Right.
Right.
This is a good question. I like the spirit of the question.
we need more
David,
guidelines though before we can answer this.
I want to give you two. Let me give you two scenarios. I'm going to take this and split it into two, like a Star Trek episode, transporter accident. So here's scenario number one: you get the powers or abilities or knowledge of a superhero, and it just gets into your body as you are now. So which superhero power set or ability set, including Batman, to be like, oh, all of a sudden I have ninja training and I have I can build a car
but
or
I
whatever.
keep my core
But
self.
it's you and
Yeah.
your life. So that's
well,
option
I mean,
one.
my life.
Oh my God.
I mean, if I choose Batman, my life as I know it is gone.
No, it's not. Because you wouldn't be given the money, but you just have the skill set. So here's what would happen
Yeah,
if you...
good luck.
if-
How you making all that shit?
no.
Yeah.
But if you choose Batman, here's what would happen. You'd wake up tomorrow, you're ripped, you're super cut, but you're still your same build and height. And then all of a sudden you wake up and you go, I know how to customize my bike to make it go really fucking fast.
Yeah.
Or I know how to do this, I know how to do that. Would you be lacking some resources? Sure, but you can fight. And you can, you know what I mean? You can repel, and
Basically,
you
you're
know all
Batman
the
from the
skills.
streets.
Yeah, which is still, it could still be
think-
very, very helpful.
And this is just to cause as little disruption as possible. Maybe Thor. Because he still talks to his family. Like he has, of course he has issues with his family, but who doesn't? He has best friends. He drinks beer. Like he's got a crappy brother.
Okay, so you're trying to take somebody's powers who you feel like is close to you anyway. So that when you take it,
yes,
okay.
that, but also as little disruption as possible in this transfer of
I get it.
roles and
family's still
responsibilities.
living,
Right,
and then-
exactly.
And then if we're going into the sort of comic book version of Thor, you just have a hammer here and you're worthy,
Right.
but you're Augustine,
Right.
And then when you pick up the hammer,
I'm Thor.
then a lightning
as fuck.
strikes,
Right,
and then
exactly.
you become
And then
like
you're Thor.
Augustine with long hair,
Right. Just that's
you
all that
can-
happens is my hair just grows.
Panini
can-
Augustine.
Yeah.
You can
Exactly.
go and wield thunder. That's an
so
excellent choice.
I think that would be mine just to cause as little disruption as possible. If I was saying like I don't care about anything else, it would probably be Superman or like Wolverine or
Right,
something
right,
like
right.
that. Like,
Well, Wolverine would be cool. I would pick either Wolverine or Spider-Man as the option of like little disruption as possible.
Yeah.
Because I think their power sets are like, they just really help you in your life, but they're not like, you know, you fly around the sky and somebody's going to take a picture of you and your life is over.
Right.
Like with Spider-Man, I could still cheat to where, again, you do a backflip and a kid sees you and go, how'd you do that? You go, eat my vegetables?
yep.
You know what I mean? You can kind of skate by.
Exercise?
You
Yeah.
can kind of skate by. If somebody hurts you and then it goes, somebody goes, how'd you do that? You go, oh, I didn't hit me. Like
Yeah.
you can kind of cheat it.
Yeah.
But at some point with Superman powers and you go out and try to be Superman,
Yeah.
life turned upside
It's a
down.
little bit more difficult
Yeah.
to hide.
Fresh
that.
Prince.
true.
Adam, what's your pick?
I guess, Spider-Man isn't bad too because if like, well, so I was gonna say Green Lantern, but I don't remember in the comic
Ooh,
books does
Green
Green
Lantern's
Lantern
a good
only
one.
lose his father?
Okay, I've kind of abandoned David's premise again because it's too much. Because I was going to say
Yeah,
option one is you just get the powers or abilities. In the
Yeah.
case of Green Lantern, you get the ring,
Right.
Which means that in our world, the Green Lantern Corps exists somewhere out in space,
and
but
that
you're
doesn't
Adam.
feel as disruptive to me.
Right, because you're Adam and you can, you put it away,
Yeah.
but then you put it on your Green
Yeah.
Lantern and even wear a mask.
Right.
Option number two, I was going to say, is you have to live that character's life in their world for like a week. Who would you pick? Those are two different
I
things.
see.
Whose powers would you want for you?
Gotcha.
And then who would you go and have to be for a week? What superhero
that's a good
character would
one.
you want to be?
Only for a week.
Yeah. So it's a visit.
I feel like I would still pick Superman.
Yeah.
Because Lois Lane is awesome.
Oh, yeah. And you're in Metropolis and you're,
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too. I would
be
too.
Doctor
Yeah.
Doom.
Oh, shit.
I would be Doctor Doom because he's Doom. Like, why would you not? Exactly.
Son of a bitch.
And
I
just
would not
like-
pick Joker.
Oh no, not Joker. Not at all. Yeah, I think it would have to be Doctor Doom just because he's so fucking dramatic.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like, I'll totally be that guy for a week,
Yeah.
no problem. Send
then
out
would you-
Doom bots,
would
get
you-
me burritos.
Would you try to like reach out to Reed and be like, "Hey, I'm good now" for like
I'd
a
be
week?
like, "Reed, bro,
Let's go get some burritos.
You've been needing to hear this from me for a while, but like, I forgive you. and
Yeah,
I hope you
yeah.
forgive me.
Yeah.
and I never meant to steal your
my
stuff.
God.
Yeah,
Like, try
I
to
made a
mend
mistake.
it.
I made the mistake.
I messed
made the
up. I
mistake.
apologize.
And
It was
I'm
me.
gonna deny this in a week, but just keep being my
just
friend.
so that you know.
Yeah,
When I attack you next week, it's not
It's not
because
me.
I want to.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I have to. Because I'm
my
Doctor
God.
Doom.
Yeah. That's good. That is a good one. Yeah, I think Superman has to be for both.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Can't help
That's
it. Can't
help it.
A-okay.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
A-okay,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah.
Did you already say yours?
Spider-Man,
Spider-Man.
and to go and live their life, I might go maybe the Flash.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, he
Scientist.
lost his mom, but he
Yeah.
has
I'd be Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Shit. That'd be dope.
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
dude. And then whenever you're sick of it, be like, I'm going to my jet.
I'm going
Getting out of here.
I'm going home.
I'm going home. Yeah, man.
that's
Ooh,
good.
ooh, that would be cool. Now I'm like, could I be Steve Trevor?
That's literally the same thing.
That'd be awesome.
Steve Trevor also
That'd
wouldn't be bad.
Oh, hang on. I didn't think about that. I'm picking Spider-Man. Spider-Man, MJ. Spend a week. Yeah. That's awful. Because you know
Homie just
why?
popped out 2 kids apparently.
You know why that's awful?
Holy shit.
It's awful because this is the premise of Superior Spider-Man
Yeah.
when his brain gets taken over by Otto Octavius,
Yeah.
and like he, as Peter Parker, like engages in, like, first of all, I think he breaks up with MJ or something, like he breaks it off, but then he goes and has a relationship with another woman,
Yeah.
and then it's not until later, till after the fact, that she learns that, like, wait, you're actually Otto Octavius. Like, it's so messed up and it's lying. It's
Yeah.
awful. Oh, that would be weird. I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
I'm like, oh, can I pick
Guys, we
can I
better
pick,
jump off this question before
I
my
know.
wife divorces me.
Can I pick Spider-Man, but during a week where like he is single? So if I do meet somebody, it's
No.
okay,
No.
and it's not.
No.
you don't get
weird.
to pick, baby. You just
I
get
guess
thrown
not.
in.
Yeah.
I guess not. Whatever. I'll take it.
That's
I'll take
hilarious. Chaos Angel asks, "Hey fellas, is there a movie that to you is sacred, and you'd be upset if you heard that they were remaking it because it's already perfect for you? Also,
Oh.
can't wait to see CzechXicans merch."
Nacho Libre,
Yeah.
Hot Rod. I was pretty upset when they came out with Dumb and Dumber 2.
Yeah. But that's a sequel.
That's a
not
sequel.
yeah.
Still, it's kind of a remake.
Yeah.
It's kind of a remake.
Modernizing it.
Yeah.
That's a really good question.
What else?
I would definitely not want to see them just remake Star Wars.
Oh, for sure. That's
To
probably
just be
mine
like,
too.
we're going to retell the story, but modern. I'm like,
Yeah.
They kind of did
No.
with Visions, kind of.
Or even
That was
with
pretty cool.
Force Awakens,
Yeah,
kind of, but it's a
not-
sequel. Yeah,
it's-
you're right.
It's not retelling the Skywalker story.
That's
Yeah.
true.
You know
That's
what I
true.
mean?
Oh, and then my other pick would be like Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
Because like as soon as that happens, then it's like, what are we
MCU's done.
doing?
Yeah,
MCU's
what are you
done.
doing? Yeah, you're calling it quits.
Restart the MCU.
Iron Giant. Please don't ever
Yes.
touch that movie
That's
or try to
another one.
make it live action.
That's
Yeah.
another one. I was gonna say a movie that's precious to me. I was like John Carter, but if they remade it, I wouldn't be mad,
'Cause
but
they
I
might
would
be like,
just
we're going to do more.
I think you'd be happy if
Yeah.
they made it and it reached a bigger audience.
maybe. But
I
I
think
would
you'd be
also be
very
like,
happy.
I would also be like, but I liked how that first movie really did encompass the first book. I
Mm-hmm.
think I'd be more happy if instead of a movie, they're like, it's going to be a
Plus
Disney Plus
series.
show,
Yeah.
because then they could do like in one season the first 3 books or something, and then I would be okay. I'm like, okay, you can recap the same like story. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that's good.
Nice. Good.
Good.
Robert Von Heeren asked, do you guys have any role models or idols from comics or from characters from comics or live action series you look up to and kind of want to be like? My
Yeah.
answer is always going to be Superman.
Superman,
I
Spider-Man.
think that's a good one. I think Superman is like the ultimate
Yeah.
role that everybody should aspire to.
Yeah.
I never looked up to superheroes.
Yeah.
Only because as a kid, they were so fantastic to me.
Yeah.
And you also gravitated more towards the Wolverine guys.
Yeah, because he was short
Cool.
and stumpy
Yeah,
and
yep.
Mexican looking.
Yeah.
So he was just like, yeah, of course,
Yeah.
this guy's cool.
Yeah.
So I never really looked up to them as like, that's what I want to be. It was more like, it's so cool to imagine to have their powers.
Yeah.
I remember I would walk home and be like that kid who would pretend to pop his claws out and like run at stuff.
Yeah.
And punch trees
Yeah.
and like do that stuff because
what about
it was
now
cool.
as an adult? Do you look at any of these characters, from Star Wars or Marvel? Or
Yes, and I do like the flawed characters. I aspire to have the courage of Zuko. Prince Zuko from Avatar. To have the courage of basically any character from Avatar, I would say.
Yeah.
All those characters have ultimately redeeming, amazing qualities.
Yep.
And they all step up when they need to. And I think that's what I really like about that show is that everybody kind of shows why they're a part of that team and why they deserve to save the world when they do. And characters like that is what I really gravitate towards.
Yeah.
Regardless of their power set, regardless of what they can do. And also, I think one of my favorite scenes from Lord of the Rings is Theoden's charge. I don't know if you guys remember that. It's in the third movie. It's when all the Rohirrim come and he says that scene, and then I don't know if people know about it, but when they're screaming right before they charge, they call for death. They say death. They say death 3 times loud, and then they charge. And I'm just like, I just get goosebumps every time because they know what they're doing. They're ultimately like, this is the purpose of what we're doing. We're either going to save ourselves or we're going to die trying. And to me, that's like the ultimate expression of like trying to bring about the best life for not even just you,
but somebody else.
For the world, for being hopeful.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
just like that whole scene to me is like cinematic perfection. And that's the type of thing that I tend to gravitate towards.
Yeah.
Like people facing ultimate challenge and then
Yeah.
coming through it.
Yeah.
And,
Stepping up
when they need to.
I love
That's
it.
why the Hobbits are dope too. But we're gonna get into that when Lord of the Rings comes out. Hopefully.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Matt Ilgan asks, I saw this on a Reddit thread and want to ask you all this. Do you think that the other half of the Avengers would have been able to stop Thanos if it was them who survived the blip?
Oh.
Would it have been easier for them or harder?
Oh shit!
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
So the
That's gonna
other
require a
half-
whole episode.
Yeah, because I'm like, this would mean that if the tables were turned, Tony Stark would have dusted.
Yeah.
Steve Rogers would have dusted.
The original Avengers, yeah.
Thor would have dusted. Black Widow and Hawkeye would have dusted, and Hulk would have dusted.
Yeah.
And that means we're left with characters who were dusted were Sam Wilson, T'Challa,
Yeah.
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange,
The Guardians. Yeah.
Spider-Man, the Guardians of the Galaxy,
Scarlet
most
Witch.
of them, except for Nebula, I think.
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch would have been there.
I think with just those characters alone,
Yeah,
I
you
think they
got
would have had a
Strange
good
and
chance.
Scarlet Witch. Come on, man. That's a game changer.
But I think that T'Challa could have done what Tony Stark did, and maybe Rocket with designing time travel.
Scarlet Witch was going to single-handedly
Oh,
kill
for sure.
Thanos.
I'm not even. But I'm talking about the whole Endgame third act, where because also Ant-Man still would have shown up because he was in. Unless
The Quantum Verse.
do you think he was safe because he was in the Quantum Verse, or do you think he's kind of like a Schrodinger's
I think
cat?
he was safe. I don't know.
So he was safe from being
think he-
dusted.
I
We don't
think
know the effects of
or-
the snap on the quantum.
Well,
verse.
here's the
That's
thing.
true.
Here's
That's
the
hard.
thing.
That-
even in the scenario, if it wasn't Ant-Man, but it was Wasp who went into, like, if it was Hope Van Dyne who went into the Quantum Verse, and outside Scott got dusted along with Jan and
Janet and
Hank.
Bim.
But then Hope Van Dyne comes back and she comes to the rest of the Avengers and she's like, I just came from the quantum realm. Everybody's dead. I've been in there for 5 years, but I know we can. She'd probably even be more qualified.
She would be way more qualified to save the day.
But I mean, Hulk also helped because of his genius, but then we would have had, just on the tech side, we would have had T'Challa, and I think Shuri also dusted, right?
think so,
Okoye stayed alive.
Yeah.
Because her king dusted in her arms. But
That's right.
I
Shuri
think
does because
Shuri,
she walks out of the portal with Okoye, so it's a little hard to
but
say.
I think somewhere behind the scenes, the Russos or somebody did confirm, like, yeah, Shuri was also gone for 5 years. So if we had Shuri and T'Challa, who else in the tech side could have helped? Peter, not really. He's not at that super genius level.
No.
You really need like a Reed Richards or like a Tony Stark or something. But T'Challa and Shuri working together, that would have been awesome. Some of what Hope Van Dyne had, some of her skill set. It's just that's a fascinating idea.
No, Rhodey didn't dust either.
No, he was around, so he would have been gone. And
I think it would have been a magic purveying kind of thing. Instead of science and tech,
Yeah.
Wanda and Strange
Just
would have
not
found a
using
way.
the time stone, obviously.
Doctor Strange would have somehow used magic to. No, I don't know about that either. Well, in any case, I like that idea. Maybe they could have used with magic and gone to other realities
Exactly.
and been like, we need a Tony Stark. We need it and to bring like a multiversal Avengers together to then just like, okay, let's actually do this quickly and let's make sure that Thanos doesn't follow us from 2014 and problem solved.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because the stones, didn't they say in Loki that the stones did not work if they were pulled from other universes?
I think
right?
so. I think so.
It had to be your universe just within your timeline.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
We need to rewatch that whole show. So let's just
And all the movies.
But
Okay.
that is a really good question because I think it leads
Very
to
good
very
question.
interesting. Yeah, like could
I
they
think
have done
ultimately the answer is yes, because we would have
it?
needed them to.
We'd have to
Yes,
whiteboard
exactly.
the shit
They
out
would
of
have
it.
won because they win.
Required it.
Yes, exactly.
But the fun thing is, how would it have happened? And
Right.
that's fun to,
Yeah,
Magic.
that's a whiteboard
They
episode.
would have
conceptualize.
magic the
Yeah.
shit out of this.
Yeah.
Shelby Fielding asks, "Hey guys, I hope all is well. I love the Batman and wrote a review about it, but I am dealing with this issue of isolation. I don't have many friends who share my love for stories, so much so that I often resort to brute forcing my thoughts to personal idols or celebrities who are often too busy or too uninterested in responding. I like to think it's the former. I'm struggling to find the roots to grab onto to make those connections online or in person, especially with those who aren't toxic or bigoted, which has been my previous experience. Do you have any advice?"
Shelby.
That's a
real problem.
Well, I apologize. No, I don't apologize. I'm sorry that you feel isolated, and I hope that
Yeah.
we help in that a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's very difficult to get these types of things to big stars and like anybody who's like big in the field, only because there's potentially people who maybe don't run their own social media accounts. Maybe they don't want to be contacted for those types of things.
Or they're also just being bombarded by so many people.
Yeah, they're being bombarded by so many people. The options are limitless.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let that detract you from
sharing
if
your
there's
passions.
stories that are inside of you that you need to tell them. Put them somewhere. I maybe find a local group that likes to share stories.
A writing group,
a writing
class.
and a group, a book club like yours.
Yeah.
That does focus on fan fiction and putting your own stories out there.
I know this is a little tougher because I feel like there's like a vulnerability to it.
Absolutely.
But also even just like making videos about it.
Yeah.
You know, like I was very nervous about doing YouTube stuff in the beginning.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be on camera. I didn't want to, feel vulnerable at all on the internet. But like the more I kind of practiced it and did it, I got more comfortable. And that's not to say that that's the case for everyone. You may do it and it's just not for you. But if you're open to maybe trying that out, there is like potential for
create your own community.
Yeah, exactly. Create because that's what we've really done. Yeah, that's been really helpful.
And use that block button, baby.
Yeah.
Use that block button if people are getting too toxic.
Yep. Honestly,
I don't need to talk to them.
I think another thing that's helpful is we are spoiled because we have closeness to Southern California.
Yeah.
So like even if the three of us never met, we could easily go to San Diego Comic-Con, meet people. Oh, you're into the same thing? Yeah, you're here at this panel? Yeah, we can chat and then meet people. And I think though that if you're into Batman, for example, Shelby, and you really want to talk about Batman, like I think that it would be a cool and hopefully a worthwhile endeavor to like go to your local comic book store and just scope everything out and strike up a conversation and see if something happens. But the other thing I like that you mentioned is that like you have friends, but they're just not into that stuff. But I think we're kind of saying that like you consider them to be like good people.
Yeah.
But then there's been other experiences where you've tried to find people with like-minded interests and they haven't been so great.
Yeah.
You can't force the interests onto people who are not into it.
Yeah.
But here is a piece of advice I'll give you. If you have somebody in your life who you trust, who is a friend for another reason or another connection, and you want to keep that alive, keep it going. You know, I think even I have friends that have sort of different interests. I think we all do at different levels. But keep that relationship there if you trust that person, because likely they know somebody who they can also vouch for, who, you know what, is going to be into Batman. Because the shit that we're talking about is very popular now.
Yeah.
And that's how I met a lot of people from doing one thing and then kind of networking, but really it's just like meeting people that eventually... This would happen to me all the time, especially when I would meet really nice women my age, and they'd go, "Oh, you're into that comic book shit? You got to talk to my boyfriend." And then I would honestly, do you know what I mean? Like that's true.
Hector's like, I am.
That's
You
true.
should be my boyfriend.
Yeah,
Shit.
yeah, that's true. But that's a generalization because obviously a lot of women and and non-male people are also into the same stuff. But I'm saying that like generally speaking,
we're really lucky that we have a very diverse group
which is awesome.
Yeah.
And also too, it doesn't always shake out, but even striking up a friendship through online communities like Discords for places that you like, whether it's Heroes Reforged or other places, or YouTube comments, or like I have made friendships that way too. But you have a bunch of different options. You don't feel lonely. I hope that the internet, like Augustine said, can provide some outlets, and you can even find, like we're saying, Discords or different community groups that are not just YouTube comments, because those can be they can be hit or miss. But like I said, even friends who might not be super into Batman, but you're like, you're cool. Keep hanging out with them.
Yeah.
And eventually they might go, "Oh, I know somebody at work who loves Batman. You should meet them." And then all of a sudden you'll have a friend and to
one
kind of go from there.
2, 3, 4, then it's a whole community of people.
It is tough to do, but it's something you can't force.
Yeah.
And don't feel stressed because you can't force it.
Yeah. Right.
You just kind of have to sit back and like in fact, take this opportunity, Shelby, that you maybe haven't found your tribe or your community yet. I really shouldn't say tribe because tribalism is bad. But like, you know, when you find your people, take the time to just get really, really into it yourself. You know, almost treat it like, okay, I'm not in a relationship right now. So here's a time where I'm going to binge a bunch of TV shows. Do you know what I mean? Read a bunch of stuff,
explore,
work on myself, but also like get into the stuff I'm into. And then before you know it, there's going to be a person here that's like, I'm into it too. And then you're like, oh, cool. Okay, now, that's right. I was hoping to make a connection in this way, and I was just so focused on, the stuff that I'm into.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yep.
So, great comment, Shelby. Hang in there. You're cool. Everything's going to be fine. Don't force it. Just enjoy it.
Very good advice.
Yeah, I mean, I think like, we all grew up kind of feeling the same way because when we were younger, the stuff was popular, but a lot of people didn't necessarily want to share that it was popular.
I didn't touch comic book stuff at all.
Or you would share it and people would just kind of like trample all over you.
Yeah.
But eventually, I found most of my friends growing up they like the stuff. They don't love it as much as I do, but it took a few years. We met, we connected, we started doing this, and slowly that community has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
And now everybody comes to us. Now all your friends come to, "Oh, Adam, you seen me Batman?" And you're like, "You made fun of me in high school for liking Batman. Kiss my butt. Kiss my butt."
I saw it way before you, son of a bitch.
very true.
But once the network starts to grow and it starts to expand out, it's an amazing feeling to know that you have that person you can text, be like, "Yo, this trailer or this movie or whatever." It feels really great.
Yeah,
so you'll get there. It takes time. It takes work. But you know,
keep at it.
keep at it.
Don't let it discourage you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, y'all. That was a good 8 hours of podcasting.
It was a good 8 hours of podcasting.
Yeah, that was
Amazing
a good
questions.
one.
Thank you guys
Yeah.
so much for submitting those.
Patreons. If you want to ask questions in the future, join the Patreon. You can
Yes.
ask questions there. We will answer them here on the show.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
it's been fun, guys. This is a good.
It
episode.
has been a great time.
Close us out, buddy.
I will close this out. Let's get to 100K. If you're watching this still, you're listening, and you haven't liked this video or subscribed, what are you doing? What are you doing?
You're here and you haven't.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.